Hey folks, and welcome back to another video. With all the speculation flying around about the future of the Division franchise, after the announcement that Massive, the lead studio on both of the Division games, has been working on an open world Star Wars game, I thought it might be a good idea to make a video discussing some of the possible scenarios we could see for the future of the Division 2, and the possibility of a Division 3. Let's jump into it. So after Massive Entertainment and Lucasfilm's games announced they'll be working together on a new story-driven open-world Star Wars game, which if you missed that announcement, I'll put my video covering that in a card or in the top right here. The Division community has been quite shaken, plus with Massive Entertainment also working on a large-scale Avatar game. This means the studio is taking on two huge projects, leaving a lot of players wondering if there's enough resources left to put into any kind of Year 3 content for the Division 2, or a possible Division 3, or is everything going to go into these two massive properties? Obviously, a lot of this video is pure speculation, with us having no facts at all to currently go on until we get something official, either through a state of the game or an official statement of some kind. But I want to talk about a few of the possibilities that we could see going forward for the franchise, as well as put in some of my own thoughts. Like I said, these are all speculation and what if kind of scenarios. But currently, there are a lot of different ways this could go. From the IP being moved to another studio to develop, the possibility of a Division 3 already being in development for some time, or the very real chance that this actually might be the end of the franchise, which I'm sure the majority of us really don't want to see. The idea that this could be the end of the Division franchise is a real possibility, with two of Massive's current projects, Star Wars and Avatar, being huge projects based on some of the most successful film franchises out there, with what I am sure are very large investments being made to the games. So it would make sense that most of the resources currently at the studio's disposal are currently being used on these projects. The other side of this coin is that last year Massive actually moved into a much larger office space, and have really ramped up hiring in a range of different development areas. It is possible that moving office was actually a product of the new Star Wars project, and instead of redirecting a load of staff, they've just increased their team's size and work area to accommodate this new project. I do think this new office is due to Massive Entertainment's growth as a studio, taking on these new high-profile projects, but it's more likely that the developers and staff being taken on by the studio are going to work on existing projects and games, such as additional content for the Division 2, if there is any in the works. This way they can move more experienced developers to the new high-budget games. And personally I think if there is a Division 3 or Year 3 content drop for the Division 2 currently in the works, I don't think this announcement of a new Star Wars game would affect the franchise that much. Especially when we look at this quote from David Polfett, the managing director at Massive Entertainment, when he was asked during an interview about the new Star Wars game for the Ubisoft website. With such large-scale projects in preparation, how is the studio going to handle the other games that Massive is working on? And his response was, "We have been preparing the studio for a long time to handle our projects with equal attention and love. Since all our teams work on the Snowdrop engine, all projects benefit from each other's progress and successes. And obviously, with such an amazing collection of AAA projects under one roof, we are continuously recruiting, and we're currently looking for experienced developers from all over the world to join our future adventures." If you'd like to read the whole interview, I'll pop the link in the description. But this would give the impression that Massive do already have other AAA projects in the works, other than the already known Avatar game. And this means there's a possibility that Massive could still be the leading studio behind the Division. After all, the Division is their own IP that they had in development before the studio actually was acquired by Ubisoft, so I imagine they have a special connection to it. However, another possible scenario I mentioned earlier could be that the Division is handed off to another studio. After all, these games aren't created solely by a single studio, and recently another Ubisoft-owned studio, Redstorm, who worked on the PvP in both the Division 1 and the Division 2, have been using more Division-based imagery, such as their Twitter banner showing off a token the staff received as a thanks for working on the first game. I did do a video going into a little bit more detail about this that I'll link in the top corner. But what if a studio like Redstorm took over from Massive as the lead studio working on the franchise? And what kind of effect would this have on the game's development and priorities? With Redstorm, there is a good chance we'd see more PvP updates and possibly a better balance to PvP overall, with Redstorm's major input to the game being on the PvP side. But what about the PvE? Redstorm Entertainment developed and worked on a huge range of games with both PvP and PvE, doing additional work on Far Cry 3 and 4, and being the lead studio on a large range of Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six games. If they did take over from Massive with the Division franchise, it would be interesting to see the direction the game went down, whether it be more of a tactical route with more realistic shooting mechanics and tactics. Although this would be pretty interesting, I am a fan of the RPG side of the game, and I know a lot of the community feels the same way, so I'm not so sure how well this would go down with the existing player base. But I am very curious to see what they could come up with. Another possibility is that a hypothetical Division 3 could follow a similar development cycle as the Division 2. After the second game in the Division franchise was announced, it was said that the Division 2 actually started development not that long after the first game was released. What if there is a Division 3 in development, it's already been in the works for the last 3 years? If that's the case, there's still a very good chance a Division 3 is a possibility. Or it may not be a third game, but another possible Warlords of New York size expansion for the second game. Another interesting thought is, what about some kind of Division spin-off? Whether that's a single player story game, following an agent through training, then maybe being deployed side by side with Aaron Keener, witnessing the horrors of the initial outbreak, along with the first wave agents. Or maybe take the mechanics we all loved from the Division 1 survival game mode and create a dedicated survival experience, having to deal with heat, cold, hunger, as well as fighting off looters and other factions. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, ever since I saw a tweet from Tom Spencer, a lead designer for TT Games, expressing his love for the idea of a single-player narrative Division spin-off. On top of this, Julien Gerety, the creative director at Massive, actually retweeted this with one word: thoughts? Which of course got the community's imaginations going. But nothing else ever came of this and it was never mentioned again. But I think it'd be great to have a few individual characters tell their stories in the world of the Division. One in particular would be April Kelleher, a character who appears quite a lot in the Division's history, and it would be great to see her entire story. But honestly, although it would be an awesome surprise, I don't think we'll see anything like this. I just thought it was a cool idea I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. My own thoughts on this? I don't think Massive working on the Star Wars game is the end of the Division franchise at all. I think it's more likely that something for Year 3 of the Division 2 is currently in the works. And if there is a Division 3 in planning, the development time might be longer than we saw between the first game and the second, especially with the studio taking on more and more projects. But that is everything for this video. Time will tell what's next for the Division franchise, but I do hope we get some kind of news soon. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Are you hoping for a Year 3 of the Division 2, or possibly a Division 3? Or do you think that could be it for the franchise? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and subscribe for more Division related content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.